Monolake thing exists since 1995 and is more or less dedicated to electronic dance music in all its facets. And more recently it became less techno and more broken beats and more influenced by dubstep or by garage and things like this. But mainly it's a project which is aimed for rhythmical music where people can dance to. And at the same time, I'm really very much interested in sound. So I like to give people on the dance floor the experience of great sound, like unusual sound or something which is different from what they hear every day. The input is, I guess, as with almost every artist, to a big extent other artists. I listen to other music and I think, wow, that's cool, that's exciting. Or I listen to other music and think, oh, that's definitely not what I want to do. But my input also comes from a lot from really things which have nothing to do with music. Like I really like to be in places which are very quiet, and then I listen carefully to the little sounds. And I like places which have a lot of space, like a desert or a forest, or places like this where you feel very small and you're surrounded by something which is very big. And I find this very inspiring. I mean, every musical instrument is something artificial, and at some point someone had to build it. And when the people started to bang on pieces of wood, they realized if they make the wood in a special shape, it sounds special, and if they change the shape, it changes the sound. So the whole history of music was always connected with research. People always tried to find ways to make the music sounding more interesting or louder or with more expression. And I really admire people who build instruments. Building instruments is a beautiful thing to do, because you're making something which allows an artist to make something creative. And I'm involved with a company called Ableton, and we're making software for musicians. And what I use tonight is also this software. And we try to make a software which is like a beautiful musical instrument, which is something which not only works from a technical perspective or from an engineering perspective, but is nice to work with. A lot of electronic music is studio music, you know, some lonely person sitting in front of a laptop at night and trying to get something done. But this is a very lonely thing, and you never know what you're really doing unless someone buys the record and says it's great. And I really like performing because it's a very good way for me to understand how my music is perceived. And if I prepare a performance, when I'm thinking of my performance, I really think about, I try to step away from myself and try to think, what would the audience think? And this influences my way I make my music. And what I really try to do on stage is I try to really perform. So a lot of my music is very improvised. I have a few things which are fixed, but the way these fixed elements are working together is with a lot of freedom. And I built my own little instrument which allows me to make my music without looking at a computer screen and without using a mouse. So I have just a big black box with lots of buttons and lots of knobs, and this allows me to be very intuitive. I don't need to, when I'm on stage, I don't think that much. It's really just I try to put myself in a mental state where I just think, oh, let's try this out, and then I'm as surprised as the audience. So every night I change things. I try to play every night a different set, because it's nothing more exciting than if I try something out and it works, And I realized that it works for me and it works for the audience. So on stage I really try to improvise as much as possible. And yeah, I think making music is about communication. It's about trying something out and see how the audience reacts and react to this. I would be very bored if I would just press play. It just wouldn't feel right. If music can put me in a different space, this is something I really like. And with time it's similar. If you're listening to music, you're losing a sense of time. And the problem with working with computers is you look at a computer screen and you see the piece like as a graphical representation. But if you close your eyes, it's completely different. I'm fascinated by that. That's, yeah. The real revolution is not so much the electronic music itself, because electronic music is old. Really, revolution is something like YouTube and MySpace and all these pages where almost everyone, or at least much more people than ever in the world, are able to make music and give it to potentially the world. And this is the true revolution.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Ciao.